Nate, do you remember when I worked double night shifts just to buy you those new soccer cleats you begged for? And now, you tell me I'm too ugly to be at your wedding because of my chemo scarf? You said I'd ruin the aesthetic. But while you were busy scrubbing me out of your perfect world, I was quietly building a fortune you never even saw coming. I'm not just your mother. I'm a cancer survivor, a silent investor, and a woman who gave up everything for you. If you've ever felt tossed aside by your own child, please watch this to the end. I'll show you exactly how I turned heartbreak into something powerful enough to change lives. They called me a burden, a leech, until the will was read, and every penny went to Hope Haven Shelter instead. Ashley slapped me in front of everyone. Nate yelled, but I stood tall. Don't scroll. Because if you miss this, you might miss the one story that finally helps you stop waiting for an apology that may never come. Before I share what happened, can I ask, where are you listening from right now? Are you in your kitchen like me, or maybe curled up in bed? Tell me how you're feeling today. Happy, tired, or something in between. Just drop a comment below, even one word. I read every single one, and who knows? Maybe your story will find its way into mine. Let's begin this journey together. My son was coming home today, April 15th, 2024. I thought he'd see his mother, not just cancer's shadow. The kettle whistled in my Charleston kitchen, a sharp note cutting through the quiet. I adjusted my scarf, tucking a stray wisp of thinning hair beneath the soft cotton. My fingers brushed the pearl brooch pinned to my navy dress, a gift from my mother years ago, its smooth surface cool against my skin. I smiled, picturing Nate as a boy, his chubby hands kneading biscuit dough beside me, flour dusting his nose. He'll smile today, I whispered, stirring the sweet tea. The magnolia breeze drifted through the open window, carrying the scent of spring and hope. I set out the pitcher, the glass sweating in the humid air, and smoothed the crocheted afghan draped over the couch. This home, with its faded wallpaper and creaking floorboards, held every memory of Nate. His first steps, his laughter, the nights I worked double shifts as a nurse to pay for his private school. I gave up my career for him, my dreams of advancing in the hospital, so he could have the best. Today he'd see that, wouldn't he? He'd see me. The doorbell chimed and my heart leapt. I hurried to the door, my steps slow but eager. Nate stood there, tall in a sleek gray suit, his dark hair slicked back, eyes glued to his phone. Beside him was Ashley, her blonde ponytail tight, her lips pursed as she scanned my living room like it was a thrift store. "Nate," I said, my voice bright. He glanced up, his smile thin. "Hey, Mom." No hug, no warmth. "Come in, sugar," I said, stepping aside. Ashley's heels clicked on the hardwood, her gaze lingering on the afghans. "This house is so quaint," she said, her tone sharp as a lemon rind. I chuckled, brushing it off. "It's home." Nate waved a hand, dismissing the air. "You're stuck in the past, Mom. Things move fast out there." His words pricked, but I kept my smile, gesturing to the tea. "Sweet tea, like you used to love?" "No time," Nate said, sinking into the couch, his phone buzzing again. I poured a glass anyway, the ice clinking, a sound as familiar as Sunday hymns. The door creaked open and Vivian breezed in, her silver hair catching the light, her navy blazer crisp despite the heat. "Well, look who's back in town," she said, her voice warm but edged with mischief. She winked at me, then turned to Nate. "Some things age better than others, Nate, like your mama." Nate laughed, but it was hollow, his eyes on his screen. Vivian settled beside me, her hand patting mine. "Weddings don't come cheap, do they, Nate?" she said, her tone casual but pointed. I frowned, catching a flicker of tension in Nate's jaw. "It's under control," he muttered. Ashley rolled her eyes, adjusting her diamond bracelet. "It's curated, Vivian. Minimalist chic." I offered the tea again, my hands trembling slightly. "Nate, it's been months. Tell me about the wedding." He sighed, pocketing his phone. "It's a big deal, Mom. High profile. We're keeping it selective. His eyes slid to my scarf, then away. You look like a ghost, Mom. Too frail for photos. People might worry. My smile faltered, my chest tightening. The room seemed to shrink, the magnolia breeze turning stale. I'm still your mother, I said softly, my voice cracking. Ashley smirked, crossing her arms. It's about the aesthetic, Eleanor. You understand. Vivian's eyes narrowed, but she stayed quiet, her hand squeezing mine. I set the tea down, the glass clinking against the table. I'd love to be there, Nate. In the back, quiet. He shook his head, standing. No, Mom, it's not right. His phone buzzed again, insistent, and he glanced at it, his face tightening. I caught a glimpse of the screen before he turned away. Pay up by May or the deal's off. My breath caught. What deal? Vivian stood, her voice smooth but firm. You're a busy man, Nate. Don't let us keep you. He nodded, already heading for the door, Ashley trailing. We'll call, Mom, he said, not looking back. The door clicked shut and the silence pressed against me. I sank onto the couch, the Afghan soft but cold under my fingers. Vivian sat beside me, her eyes gentle. He's not the boy you raised, Ellie. I stared at the tea, untouched, the ice melting into a cloudy swirl. I gave him everything, I whispered. My heart ached, a dull pain spreading like ink. Did I raise a son or a stranger who forgot me? I thought of the text, those words glowing on his phone. What was he hiding? The kettle's whistle had long faded, but the room felt heavy, the magnolia scent now cloying. I touched my brooch, its pearls a reminder of my mother's strength. Nate's words echoed. Too frail, a ghost. I wasn't gone yet. I glanced at his phone's empty spot on the table, imagining that text. Pay up by May. It glowed in my mind, unanswered, a crack in the sun I thought I knew. I wore my navy dress for Nate's visit. His words cut deeper than any scar. The grandfather clock ticked in my living room, each second heavy, like my heart. I smoothed my scarf, the cotton catching on my dry fingers, and set a plate of biscuits on the coffee table. Their buttery scent mingled with the jasmine breeze slipping through the window, but the faded wallpaper seemed to sag, mirroring my fading hopes. I'd worn this dress, my best one, thinking it might spark a memory in Nate. Maybe the times he'd clung to me as a boy, his arms warm after school. I'd given up my nursing career for him, worked nights to pay for his school. Surely he'd see that today. The door swung open and Nate strode in, his suit sharp, his eyes cold. Ashley followed, her heels clicking, her face tight as she scanned the room. Nate, honey, I said, my voice soft. I made biscuits, like when you were little. I gestured to the plate, my hands trembling. He didn't look at them. Mom, we need to talk, he said, his tone flat, sitting on the edge of the couch like he was late for something better. I stood, my scarf slipping slightly, and forced a smile. About the wedding? I'd love to help. He cut me off, his eyes flicking to my scarf. You're too ugly for the wedding, Mom. That scarf, the chemo look, it's not the vibe. Imagine showing up in your best dress, hoping your child would remember the warmth you gave them. Then hearing this. If your heart's already sinking like mine did, drop a 5 in the comments so I know you're still here. What he said next, it shattered more than just pride. My breath caught, the room tilting. Ashley smirked, crossing her arms. If you show up, Eleanor, we'll have you in a nursing home by the vows. It's for your own good. The clock's tick grew louder, a hammer in my chest. I clutched the table, my knuckles whitening. Nate, I whispered, I'm your mother. He stood, his face hard. You're a burden, Mom. He grabbed my arm, his grip tight, his fingers digging into my thin skin. Stop making this hard. I pulled away, my scarf slipping further, revealing the pale scalp beneath. My heart screamed, Where's my boy? I saw him, 6 years old, hugging me after a scraped knee, his eyes full of trust. Gone. Sit down, Eleanor, Ashley said, her voice sharp like a slap. I sank into the chair, my legs weak, the biscuits untouched, their warmth fading. Nate turned to the door, his phone buzzing in his pocket. "We'll call," he said, not looking back. Ashley's heels echoed as they left, the door clicking shut. The jasmine breeze turned cold and I sat frozen, my scarf crumpled in my lap. His words, too ugly a burden, sliced deeper than any chemo needle. I stared at the biscuits, crumbs scattered like my thoughts. Was I ever his mother or just his bank? I'd poured my life into him, every dollar, every dream. I gave up my career, my nights, my health. For this? My hand brushed my phone on the table, its screen glowing. A voicemail left by accident from Nate. My finger hovered, then pressed play. "Her money's ours soon, Ashley." Nate's voice crackled through the static, low and smug. "Once she's gone, we're set." My breath stopped. The room spun, the clock's tick fading to a dull hum. I played it again, his words carving into me. "Her money's ours." My eyes hardened, a spark flaring in my chest. Not pain, not anymore. Resolve. He thought I was nothing but a purse to empty. He was wrong. I stood, my scarf falling to the floor, the rustle of it soft against the hardwood. The biscuit sat cold, a mockery of the love I'd offered. I touched the pearl brooch on my dress, its weight grounding me. My mother's voice echoed in my mind. "You're stronger than you think." I'd been strong for Nate, hiding my exhaustion, my pain. Now I'd be strong for me. The jasmine breeze stirred the curtains, but it didn't soothe me. I walked to the window, the voicemail static looping in my ears. Nate's plan, his greed, his betrayal. It wasn't just words. It was a theft of everything I'd built. I wasn't gone yet. I wasn't a burden. I was Eleanor Thompson, and I'd show him what a mother could do. The clock ticked on, relentless, as I stood in the dim light. My resolve grew, a quiet fire in my bones. The voicemail played one last time. "Her money's ours." I shut it off, the silence sharp. Whatever Nate was planning, he'd learn I wasn't so easy to erase. I thought my family could mend. Nate tore that hope, and my past apart. The aroma of grilled chicken filled my dining room, warm and familiar, like summer suppers long gone. I arranged a centerpiece of daisies, fresh from the farmer's market, their white petals trembling under the chandelier's glow. Soft jazz hummed from the radio, its notes weaving through the tension in the air. The table was set for a family dinner, my attempt to stitch us back together after Nate's cruel visit. My fingers brushed the pearl brooch on my navy dress, a quiet anchor. I'd worked double shifts to fund Nate's school, missing sleep, missing moments. Tonight, I'd fight for my place at his wedding. The doorbell rang and my heart stuttered. I opened the door to Nate, his suit crisp, his jaw tight. Behind him stood Sophia, my daughter, her brown hair loose, her eyes hesitant but warm. Vivian slipped in last, her silver earrings glinting, her smile sharp. "Smells like love in here, Ellie," she said, squeezing my arm. I led them to the table, the floorboards creaking under my slow steps. Nate sat, his gaze on his phone, while Sophia helped me carry the chicken, her hands brushing mine. "Looks amazing, Mom," she said softly. I took my seat, the jazz music softening the silence. "Nate," I began, my voice steady, "let me be at the wedding. I'll stay in the back, quiet." He looked up, his eyes narrowing. "Mom, you're embarrassing," he shouted, his voice slicing through the room. He grabbed a framed photo from the sideboard, Nate and me baking biscuits, flour on our cheeks, and tore it in half. "This is worthless," he sneered, tossing the pieces to the floor. The guests, neighbors, cousins, gasped, their forks clinking against plates. My chest burned, the chicken's sizzle mocking the quiet. Sophia stood, her chair scraping. "I missed your strength, Mom, but Nate's blind." Her voice cracked, her eyes wet. Vivian leaned close, her whisper fierce. "You've got power he can't touch, Ellie." I clutched the torn photo, its edges sharp against my palms. My anger rose, a tide I couldn't hold back. Nate's denial of our past, of my sacrifices, paying for his school, skipping meals to save, felt like a theft. I'd given him everything, and he called it worthless. Nate leaned back, smirking. "You're making a scene, Mom. Just stop." I shook my head, my scarf slipping, my voice low. "I'm your mother, Nate. I deserve to be there." He rolled his eyes, standing. "You deserve what you get." He strode out, the door slamming, the jazz music faltering. The guests murmured, their eyes on me, but I didn't flinch. My anger wasn't shame, it was fire. Sophia stayed, her hand on my shoulder. "I'm sorry, Mom," she said, her voice thick. "I resented you missing my 16th birthday, but you were working for us. I see that now." I looked at her, my daughter, her face so like mine at that age. "You're here now, Sophia," I said, my throat tight. Vivian gathered the photo's pieces, handing them to me. "He doesn't know your worth, Ellie." I unfolded the torn halves, and a small note slipped out, its handwriting delicate, familiar, my mother's. "You're stronger than you know," it read. My breath caught, my anger sharpening into purpose. I stood, the photo in my hands, the chicken's warmth gone cold. Did my sacrifices mean nothing to them? I'd poured my life into Nate, into Sophia, and Nate had shredded it like paper. But Sophia's apology, Vivian's faith, they were threads holding me together. The note's words echoed, a whisper from my mother, gone 10 years now. Her strength lived in me, and I'd need it. The jazz music played on, its notes soft but steady. I walked to the sideboard, my fingers tracing the note's edges. The handwriting matched my mother's diary, tucked away in the attic. What else had she left me? What strength was waiting? I wouldn't let Nate erase me, not anymore. The daisies drooped in the centerpiece, their petals soft but unyielding. I held the note, my resolve burning bright. The diary called to me, its pages hiding truths I'd uncover. Nate's betrayal, his greed, they'd meet my strength soon enough. I saved every penny for my children. Now, those pennies might save me. The attic smelled of old books, their pages brittle under the weight of years. Dust motes danced in the slant of light from a single bulb, and the ceiling fan creaked, stirring Charleston's humid air. I knelt before a cardboard box, my knees aching, my scarf tight around my scalp. My fingers, still trembling from Nate's cruelty, traced the edges of folders and receipts. I'd funded his private school, skipped dinners to pay his tuition, all to give him a future. His words, "You're embarrassing, worthless," burned in my chest, fueling a fire I hadn't known I had. Vivian climbed the attic stairs, her navy blazer dusted with cobwebs, her silver hair catching the light. "Ellie, you're digging for gold up here," she teased, her voice warm but sharp, like she knew what I needed before I did. She'd been estranged from her son years ago, after a divorce tore them apart, and that pain made her my fiercest ally. She opened a box, pulling out papers. "Let's see what you've got." I nodded, my anger at Nate's photo-tearing tantrum pushing me forward. We sorted through documents, the fan's creak punctuating the silence. Vivian held up a deed, her eyes wide. 3 rental properties, Ellie, and shares in Janice's salon." She whistled. "You're a quiet millionaire." I gasped, my hands freezing on a folder. "I only wanted them safe," I said, my voice low. All those years, pinching pennies, buying rundown homes to rent, building a future for Nate and Sophia. I never thought it was this much. My anger flared. Nate had called my sacrifices useless, but they'd made me powerful. The attic stairs groaned, and Sophia appeared, her brown hair loose, her eyes red. "Mom," she said, her voice breaking. She sank beside me, clutching my hand. "Nate called you useless again at his office. He's wrong." Her words stung, deepening the wound from his photo destruction. I squeezed her hand, remembering her 16th birthday, when I worked a double shift and missed her party. She'd resented me then, and I'd carried that guilt. "I was working for you, Sophia," I said softly. She nodded, tears falling. "I know better now, Mom." I reached into a box, my fingers brushing a leather-bound diary, my mother's, its cover worn from years of hiding. I opened it, the pages rustling, and read aloud, "Your strength is your legacy." My throat tightened. Mom had died 10 years ago, but her words felt alive, urging me on. Sophia leaned close, her sniffle soft. "Nate doesn't see you, but I do," she said. Vivian nodded, her eyes fierce. "You've got power he can't touch, Ellie." My anger surged, not just at Nate, but at myself for hiding this strength so long. I set the diary down, its weight heavy in my hands. "Nate gets nothing," I declared, my voice steady. Vivian grinned, pulling out a legal pad. "Let's rewrite your will." Sophia gripped my hand tighter. "I'm with you, Mom." My anger solidified into purpose, a plan forming. I wasn't just a mother scorned. I was a woman with means, with fight. Did I hide my strength, even from myself? I'd spent years tucking away money, dreams for my children. Now, I'd use it for me. The fan creaked on, the humid air settling like a shroud. I flipped through the diary, my mother's handwriting curling across the pages. One entry caught my eye. "A hidden gift waits for you, Eleanor." My breath hitched. What gift? What had Mom left me? The attic felt smaller, the boxes looming with secrets. Nate thought he could erase me, but he didn't know the half of what I held. Sophia stood, brushing dust from her jeans. "We'll fix this, Mom," she said, her voice firm. Vivian tucked the deeds away, her pen scratching notes. "Hope Haven Shelter could use this fortune," she mused. I nodded, my resolve growing. The diary's words lingered, a whisper of strength I'd yet to claim. I'd find it, and when I did, Nate would learn what he'd thrown away. The attic's dust clung to my scarf, but I didn't care. I held the diary, its pages promising more than money, a legacy. My mother's voice, Sophia's support, Vivian's fire, they were my foundation. Nate's betrayal, his greed, would meet something stronger. The fan's creak faded, but the diary's words echoed, leading me to a deeper secret waiting in its pages. I thought my wealth was my children's love. Today, I found it in numbers and courage. The scent of apple pie filled my living room, its cinnamon warmth curling through the air. Sunlight streamed through lace curtains, casting delicate patterns on the hardwood, while the distant hum of a Charleston coffee shop drifted in, mingling with the pie's sizzle. I sat on the couch, my scarf loose around my neck, my fingers tracing the pearl brooch on my dress. Nate's betrayal, his torn photo, his cruel words, burned in my chest. I'd worked double shifts, skipped meals to give him and Sophia a future. Now, I'd use my strength against him. Vivian sat across from me, her navy blazer crisp, her silver hair glinting as she sorted papers on the coffee table. Her own family rift years ago with her son made her my anchor. "Ellie, these numbers don't lie," she said, holding up a spreadsheet. 3 properties, salon shares, millions. My breath caught, my hand stilling. "Millions?" I echoed, my voice hoarse. "You could change lives," she said, her eyes steady. I nodded, my anger at Nate flaring. "I will." The door burst open, and Lily, my granddaughter, bounded in, her ponytail swinging. "Grandma," she chirped, thrusting a handmade card at me. Its glitter sparkled, the words, "You're my hero," scrawled in her careful hand. My heart softened, remembering our baking days, her giggles as we rolled dough. "Oh, Lily," I said, pulling her into a hug, her warmth easing my fury. She grinned, plopping beside me, her sneakers scuffing the floor. Vivian winked. "That's a keeper, Ellie." Sophia slipped in quietly, her brown hair tucked behind her ears, her eyes heavy with guilt. She sat beside Lily, her hand brushing mine. "Mom," she said, her voice low, "Nate called you a leech today at his office. He's wrong." The word leech stabbed me. Nate's venom cutting deeper than his torn photo. I clenched my jaw, my anger surging. "I worked double shifts for you both," I said, my voice tight. "I missed your 16th birthday, Sophia, to pay bills." Sophia nodded, tears welling. "I know, Mom. I was wrong to resent you." I stood, my scarf slipping, and crossed to a wooden box on the sideboard, its lock rusted from years of neglect. My fingers fumbled with the key, the box clicking open. Inside lay a bank statement, its numbers staggering. Far more than I'd imagined. My hands shook, the paper crinkling. "This is what I built," I whispered, my anger at Nate's greed fueling me. Sophia leaned close, her breath catching. "He doesn't deserve it," she said, her voice fierce. Lily's eyes widened, her card still in my hand, a beacon of hope. Vivian leaned back, her pen tapping the table. "Your health's turning, Ellie," she said, her tone careful. I froze, my remission a secret I wasn't ready to share. "Not yet," I said, my voice firm, my eyes on the statement. "I'd donate this wealth, not to Nate, but to something bigger. Hope Haven Shelter, maybe." My anger drove me forward, a fire I'd hidden too long. How much did I hide, even from myself? I'd tucked away money, strength, dreams, all for my children. Now I'd claim them. The pie's sizzle faded, the oven's warmth lingering. I set the statement down, its numbers blurring in the sunlight. Lily tugged my sleeve. "You're strong, Grandma," she said, her voice clear. I smiled, her loyalty softening my edges. Sophia gripped my hand, her support a lifeline. "We'll do this together," she said. Vivian nodded, scribbling notes. "Let's plan, Ellie." The curtains rustled, the coffee shop's hum, a steady pulse outside. I glanced at the statement again, my eyes catching an unfamiliar account name, Hope Haven. My breath hitched. Why was that there? I'd never opened it, never heard of it. The box's contents, receipts, deeds, seemed to hold more secrets. Nate thought he could claim my life's work, but he didn't know what I'd built or what I'd do with it. The sunlight shifted, casting shadows through the lace. I held Lily's card, its glitter catching the light, and Sophia's hand, warm and steady. Vivian's pen scratched on, planning our next move. My anger wasn't just pain, it was power. The bank statement lay open, Hope Haven staring back, a question I'd answer soon. They invited me to the wedding, but not as a mother. I'm going with a secret they'll never forget. The hum of Charleston's traffic filtered through the window of Vivian's law office, a modern space with oak shelves gleaming under soft lights. A slow-dancing jazz tune played low on the radio, its notes curling around the room like a warm breeze. I sat in a leather chair, my scarf loose, my pearl brooch catching the light. Nate's betrayal, his insults, his torn photo, his smashed brooch, fueled my anger, but today I was shaping it into something sharper. I'd worked double shifts, built a fortune for my children, and now I'd use it to reclaim my worth. Vivian leaned over her desk, her silver hair tucked behind her ears, her eyes sharp. She'd fought her own battles, estranged from her son after a bitter divorce, and that fire made her my rock. "Ellie, look at this," she said, sliding an envelope across the desk. I opened it, my fingers steady, and pulled out a cream-colored wedding invitation, its gold script glinting. "Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, quiet attendance requested," it read. My jaw tightened. "Quiet," I said, my voice firm. "I'll be loud when it counts." Vivian grinned, her pen tapping the desk. "That's my girl." I set the invitation down, the oak shelves creaking as Vivian pulled out a folder. "Your will's ready," she said, her tone crisp. "Hope Haven Shelter gets everything. Properties, salon shares, savings." I nodded, my anger at Nate's greed burning bright. He thought my wealth was his, but I'd give it to women who needed it. Women like me, cast aside. Vivian paused, her eyes softening. "You're stronger than ever, Ellie." I took a breath, my voice low. "I'm in remission, Viv. Nobody else knows." Her grin widened, her chair creaking as she leaned forward. "That's your ace." The jazz tune swelled, its rhythm steadying my pulse. My remission was my secret weapon, a truth I'd hold until it hit hardest. I'd been strategic, hiding my health to keep Nate and Ashley off guard. Can a secret heal what love couldn't? I'd loved Nate fiercely, but his greed, calling me a leech, a burden, had broken that bond. Now my resolve was my strength, and I'd wield it like a blade. The door opened, and Sophia slipped in, her brown hair loose, her eyes fierce with loyalty. She sat beside me, her hand brushing mine, her guilt over resenting my missed 16th birthday now a bridge between us. "Mom, you're doing the right thing," she said, her voice steady. Bill followed, his gray hair mussed, his tie loose. He'd spent years buried in his engineering job, leaving me to raise our kids alone, and his regret was new, raw. "Ellie," he said, his voice rough, "Nate's lost his way." He sat, his shoulders heavy, his eyes meeting mine for the first time in years. I nodded, my anger tempered by Sophia's support. "He's not my Nate anymore," I said. Bill's phone buzzed on the desk, its screen lighting up. I glanced at it, my breath catching. A text from Ashley. Her estate's ours post-wedding. My resolve hardened, the jazz tune fading to a hum. Sophia saw it too, her eyes narrowing. "Tell Dad, Mom," she urged, her voice low. I shook my head. "Not yet." Bill frowned, sensing the tension, but stayed silent, his hands clasped tight. The phone's ping echoed, Ashley's greed laid bare. She and Nate thought they could claim my life's work, my sacrifice. I'd built that fortune, properties, shares, savings, through sleepless nights, empty plates, all for my children. Now I'd use it to rewrite their story. Vivian scribbled notes, her pen scratching, her loyalty a shield. Sophia gripped my hand, her warmth grounding me. Bill's concern, tentative but real, hinted at a shift I'd hold close. The traffic's hum pulsed outside, the oak shelves steady around us. I touched my brooch, my mother's strength flowing through it. The invitation lay open, its script a challenge I'd meet. Nate and Ashley's plan, their text, their greed, they'd meet my secret soon. My remission, my wealth, my resolve, they were mine to wield. The jazz tune slowed, its notes lingering. I stood, my scarf slipping, my voice calm. "Let's finish this, Viv." She nodded, her eyes fierce. Sophia smiled, her hand in mine. Bill watched, his phone screen dark, Ashley's text unanswered. It lingered there, a promise of their downfall, waiting for my move. I asked Nate to see me as his mother. He broke my heart, and my past, instead. The cicadas buzzed outside my Charleston home, their hum a restless pulse in the evening air. Inside, the dim lamplight cast long shadows across the kitchen, where a farmer's market peach cobbler cooled on the counter, its sweet aroma cloying in the tension. I stood by the sink, my scarf loose, my fingers gripping the pearl brooch on my dress, a gift from my mother, a symbol of her strength. Nate's betrayal, his torn photo, his leeching words had fueled my anger. I'd worked double shifts, funded his school, built a fortune for him and Sophia. Tonight, I'd demand he face me. The doorbell rang, sharp and insistent. I opened it to Nate, his suit wrinkled, his eyes hard. Ashley stood beside him, her blonde ponytail taut, her lips curled in a sneer. Sophia slipped in behind them, her brown hair loose, her gaze protective. Lily, my granddaughter, clung to Sophia's hand, her ponytail bouncing, her eyes bright with hope. "Grandma," she whispered, hugging me, her warmth a flicker in my fury. I led them to the living room, the floorboards creaking, the cobbler's scent trailing us. I faced Nate, my voice steady. "Apologize for calling me a burden, Nate." He scoffed, his laugh cold. "You're nothing but guilt, Mom." If someone shattered the one thing you had left from your mother, would you still stay silent? This part, it still makes my hands tremble when I tell it. If you're still with me, drop a 6 in the comments so I know I'm not alone in this. What happens next changed everything. He snatched the brooch from my dress, its pin tearing the fabric, and smashed it on the floor. "This junk means nothing," he shouted, the pearls scattering like broken promises. The shatter echoed, a knife in my chest. My hands trembled, my anger surging. That brooch, my mother's legacy, was my anchor through chemo, through sacrifice. Ashley sneered, her heels clicking as she stepped forward. "Get out of our lives, old woman." Her voice dripped venom, her eyes glinting with entitlement. Sophia surged between us, yelling, "She's our mother, Nate!" Lily clung to my skirt, sobbing. That was Grandma's treasure. Her cries pierced me, her baking memories, our biscuit days, now tainted by Nate's cruelty. I knelt, my hands shaking, gathering the broken pearls, my anger hardening into steel. Nate turned to the door, his jaw tight. "You're pathetic, Mom," he muttered. Ashley laughed, following him, her bracelet jangling. The door slammed, the cicadas hum, swallowing their footsteps. I stayed on the floor, Lily's arms around me, Sophia's hand on my shoulder. My resolve took root, deep and unyielding. Nate's greed, his destruction, his denial of my sacrifices, funding his school, skipping meals, wouldn't break me. I'd face him where it hurt most. Sophia helped me stand, her eyes wet but fierce. "He's wrong, Mom," she said, her voice firm, her guilt over resenting my missed 16th birthday now a bond. Lily sniffled, her ponytail drooping. "You're my hero, Grandma," she said, her voice small. I hugged her, her warmth fueling my fight. My phone buzzed, Vivian's email lighting the screen. "Nate's loan defaulted," it read. "He owes $1 million." My breath caught, the numbers glaring. His desperation, his greed. It was his ruin, and I'd use it. I sat on the couch, the broken pearls in my palm, the cobbler's aroma fading. "He'll face me at the wedding," I vowed, my voice low, my resolve set. Sophia nodded, her hand squeezing mine. "We're with you." Lily curled beside me, her sobs quieting. Vivian's email glowed, a weapon I'd wield. Did I raise a son or a stranger who forgot me? I'd loved Nate, given him everything, but he'd chosen greed. Now I'd choose justice. The cicadas hummed on, relentless, their sound a drumbeat to my plan. I clutched the pearls, their fragments sharp. My mother's diary, its hidden gift, waited in the attic. But this email, Nate's $1 million debt, was a truth I'd carry to the vineyard. He thought he could erase me, but I was Eleanor Thompson, and I wasn't done. The lamplight flickered, shadows dancing across the room. I stood, my scarf slipping, my eyes fixed on the email's numbers. $1,000 due. They glowed, a promise of Nate's reckoning, waiting for my move. I walked into their wedding, invisible to them. Soon they'd see me as I truly am. The Charleston vineyard glowed under a warm summer evening sky, white roses twining around trellises, string lights twinkling like stars. Sweet tea clinked in glasses, the jazz quartet's notes drifting over the laughter of guests in pastel dresses and sharp suits. I stood at the edge, my silver dress soft against my skin, my scarf hiding my thinning hair. My pearl brooch, now broken by Nate's cruelty, was gone, but its memory fueled my resolve. I'd worked double shifts, built a fortune for my children, only to be called a burden, a leech. Tonight I'd show them my strength. Vivian guided me to a back row, her navy blazer crisp, her silver hair catching the light. Her own family rift years ago with her son made her my strategist, her loyalty fierce. Sophia followed, her brown hair loose, her eyes blazing with protectiveness, her guilt over resenting my missed 16th birthday now a bond. Lily, my granddaughter, clung to my hand, her ponytail bouncing, her baking memories with me a beacon of hope. "You look pretty, Grandma," she whispered, her smile bright. I squeezed her hand, my heart steady despite the opulence around us, Nate's curated world, built on my sacrifices. We sat, the vineyard's richness a stark contrast to my modest life. Bill slipped into the row, his gray hair mussed, his tie loose. He'd buried himself in his engineering career, leaving me to raise our kids. But his regret was new, raw. "You're here, Ellie," he whispered, his eyes soft. "I'm sorry I wasn't." I nodded, my resolve firm, my anger at Nate's greed, his torn photo, his smashed brooch, driving me. The jazz notes swelled, the ceremony beginning, but I felt the crowd's eyes, whispers already stirring. The pre-wedding toast began, guests raising glasses near the rose-covered arch. Nate stood tall in his tux, smug, his arm around Ashley, her white dress shimmering. I stayed seated, my scarf itching, my hands clasped. Ashley's gaze swept the crowd, then locked on me. Her smile vanished, her heels clicking as she stormed over. "Leave!" she hissed, her voice ablade. "You ruin everything!" Her hand flashed, slapping my cheek, the sting sharp, the crowd gasping. Nate laughed, his voice cutting through the jazz. "She's irrelevant, Ash." My face burned, my resolve peaking, the audience's murmurs fueling my defiance. Sophia surged to her feet, pulling me back, her voice fierce. "You're monsters!" Lily clung to my skirt, crying, "Stay, Grandma!" Her sobs echoed, her baking stories, our biscuit days, now a shield against Nate's cruelty. I touched my cheek, the pain sharpening my focus. Will they see me now or never at all? I'd been invisible to them, a mother reduced to a burden. But I was Eleanor Thompson, and I'd rewrite their story. I stood, my scarf slipping, my hands steady. I unclasped my wedding ring, its gold worn from years of sacrifice, and removed my scarf, letting it fall. I placed them on the chair, a symbolic act of liberation, shedding the weight of Nate's betrayal, of Bill's neglect. The crowd hushed, the jazz notes faltering. Vivian leaned close, her voice low. "Now?" I nodded, my eyes fixed on Nate's smug grin. A guest nearby showed Vivian her phone, an email glowing. "Eleanor's a millionaire?" Whispers rippled through the crowd, a prelude to my reveal. Anticipation crackling like the string lights. Vivian gripped the will envelope, her loyalty a fire matching mine. Sophia's hand found mine, her protectiveness a lifeline, her redemption complete. Lily's eyes shone, her hope unbroken despite the slap. Bill watched, his face tight, his apology a step toward alignment. Nate and Ashley, oblivious, posed for photos, their laughter grating. They thought they'd won, their greed. Ashley's text, Nate's debts, hidden. But I knew, and soon, everyone would. The glasses clinked, the sweet tea's scent mingling with roses. I sat, my silver dress catching the light. No scarf, no ring, just me. My cheek throbbed, Ashley's violence a spark to my defiance. I'd built a fortune, survived cancer, and they'd called me irrelevant. My resolve wasn't just anger, it was justice. The email's whispers spread. "She's richer than Nate." The crowd buzzed, their phones casting a glow, waiting for my move. The jazz quartet played on, its notes a steady pulse. I met Vivian's gaze, her nod a signal. Sophia and Lily flanked me, their love a shield. Bill's hand hovered, his support tentative but real. Nate's laughter echoed, but it wouldn't last. The vineyard's warmth, its opulence, was his stage. Mine now. I'd face him, not as a mother they scorned, but as a woman they'd never forget. Nate smiled for the cameras, thinking he'd erased me. I let him, one last time. The vineyard reception tent glowed with festive warmth, sweet tea clinking in glasses, rose petals scattered across linen tables. A summer breeze rustled the canvas, carrying the scent of white roses and laughter. The jazz quartet's notes faded under the hum of guests, their pastel dresses and sharp suits a blur of celebration. I stood at the tent's edge, my silver dress catching the light. No scarf, no ring, just me, Eleanor Thompson. Nate's cruelty, his torn photo, his smashed brooch, Ashley's slap, had fueled my resolve. I'd built a fortune for my children, worked double shifts, only to be called a burden. Tonight, I'd redefine my family. Vivian moved through the crowd, her navy blazer crisp, her silver hair a beacon. Her own family rift, years ago with her son, made her bold, her loyalty a fire matching mine. She clutched an envelope, my final word, her eyes meeting mine with a nod. Sophia stood beside me, her brown hair loose, her protectiveness fierce, her guilt over my missed 16th birthday now a bond. Lily gripped my hand, her ponytail swaying, her baking memories with me, a light in this storm. Bill hovered nearby, his gray hair mussed, his regret for his career-driven distance softening his gaze. They were my strength, my true family. The cameras flashed, Nate and Ashley posing under the rose arch, his tux sharp, her white dress gleaming, his smug grin grated, his greed, those debts, that text, hidden behind his charm. Vivian strode forward, her heels clicking, the crowd parting. "From Eleanor," she said, her voice clear, handing Nate and Ashley envelopes. Nate's smile faltered, his fingers tearing the paper. He read aloud, his voice shaking. "You called me a burden, so I leave you nothing but your name." The words hung, heavy, the camera clicks, slowing. My heart lifted, my resolve turning to triumph. Ashley ripped open her letter, her face paling. "You slapped me," it read, "but I'm rewriting your future." She gasped, her bracelet jangling as she dropped the paper. Guests pulled out phones, recording, their murmurs rising. Nate stammered, "This isn't real." His eyes found me wide with panic, and he yelled, "You ruined me, Mom!" His voice cracked, blaming me for his financial ruin, his $1 million debts exposed. The crowd gasped, the tense canvas flapping in the breeze. Ashley's slap, Nate's justifications, they fueled outrage. But I stood tall, my liberation dawning. Vivian raised her voice, her tone bold. "Eleanor's fortune funds Hope Haven shelter." The crowd erupted, whispers spreading like wildfire. "She's richer than Nate," a guest hissed, phones glowing with shared videos. I met Nate's gaze across the tent, his face ashen, his hands trembling. Ashley turned on him, her voice shrill. "You're broke, Nate!" She stormed out, her heels stomping, rose petals crunching underfoot. Sophia squeezed my hand, her eyes fierce. "You did it, Mom," Lily whispered. "You're my hero, Grandma." Bill stepped closer, his hand on my shoulder, his voice low. "I'm proud, Ellie." I walked toward the exit, my steps steady, my heart light. Did they think I'd stay silent forever? I'd given Nate everything, my career, my health, my love, and he'd thrown it away. Now I'd given my wealth to women who needed it, women like me, cast aside. The chair where I'd sat held my scarf and wedding ring, a symbol of my departure, my liberation. I didn't look back. The jazz notes faded, the crowd's murmurs a roar in my ears. I was free. Nate rushed to the chair, clutching the scarf, his face crumbling. "She's gone," a guest whispered, their phone still recording. My family, Sophia, Lily, Bill, stood with me, their loyalty a shield against Nate's greed. Vivian joined us, her smile fierce. "You rewrote their story, Ellie," she said. I nodded, the breeze cooling my bare neck. Nate's downfall, tied to his debts, was his own making. Ashley's abandonment, her fury, was her punishment. My true family here was my victory. The tense chatter swelled, the sweet tea glasses clinking, but I felt only peace. I'd built a fortune, survived cancer, and they'd called me irrelevant. Now, Hope Haven would carry my legacy, not Nate. Sophia's protectiveness, Lily's hope, Bill's remorse. They were my family, redefined. The rose petals fell, soft against the canvas, and I stepped into the night, my triumph complete. The vineyard's lights dimmed, the jazz a distant hum. Nate stood alone, the scarf in his hands, his world unraveling. Guests whispered, "She's gone." Their voices a chorus of my justice. I walked away, my silver dress shimmering, ready for what came next. Nate's world crumbled before the cameras. I stood tall, finally free. The Charleston vineyard lay quiet under a summer twilight, rose petals scattered across the grass, string lights dimming like fading stars. The reception tent's chatter had softened, guests departing with murmurs, their phones glowing with videos of Nate's downfall. A nearby coffee shop's hum drifted over, mingling with the crunch of petals underfoot. I stood near the rose arch, my silver dress shimmering, no scarf, no ring, just Eleanor Thompson liberated. I'd built a fortune for my children, worked double shifts, only to face Nate's insults, his smashed brooch. Now I'd redefined my family. Ashley's heels stomped through the grass, her white dress trailing. "You're broke, Nate, you're nothing!" she screamed, her voice shrill, her ambitions shattered. Guests recorded, their flashes piercing the dusk, amplifying Nate's humiliation. He staggered toward me, his tux rumpled, his face ashen. "Mom, fix this," he pleaded, his voice cracking, his greed, those million-dollar debts, laid bare. I met his gaze, my resolve iron. "You broke it, Nate. Live with it." His earlier cruelty calling me a burden, destroying my mother's brooch, fueled my words, the audience's satisfaction palpable. Sophia stood beside me, her brown hair loose, her eyes fierce with loyalty, her guilt over my missed 16th birthday now a bond. Lily clung to my hand, her ponytail swaying, her baking memories with me alight in this chaos. "You're amazing, Grandma," she whispered, her pride warming me. Vivian, her navy blazer crisp, her silver hair glinting, smirked from nearby, her own family reconciliation fueling her satisfaction. Bill stepped forward, his gray hair mussed, his tie loose. He'd neglected me for his engineering career, but his remorse was real, his eyes locked on mine. Bill faced the crowd, his voice steady. "Eleanor gave us everything, and I failed her for years." Guests hushed, petals crunching under shifting feet. He turned to me, his hands trembling. "I see you now, Ellie," he said, embracing me, his arms warm after decades of distance. Sophia and Lily joined, Sophia whispering, "We're your family, Mom." Their love wrapped around me, a shield against Nate's betrayal. My heart swelled, my liberation complete, joy and closure washing over me. Sophia reached into my purse, her fingers brushing a folded letter, its paper yellowed. "What's this, Mom?" she asked, unfolding it. It was from my art school days before I gave up my dreams for Nate and Sophia, its words bold. "You were meant for more." My breath caught, the letter hinting at a strength I'd buried, a deeper secret waiting. I smiled, my voice soft. "There's one more thing to tell you." My triumph shone, my family's loyalty, Sophia's redemption, Lily's hope, Bill's remorse, a testament to my strength. Was my love enough, or was my strength? I'd poured my heart into Nate, my career, my health, only for him to scorn me. But my fortune, now Hope Havens, and my true family, here, were my victory. Nate's plea, Ashley's abandonment, they were the fallout of his greed, his debts exposed by Vivian's email. The crowd's videos played, their hum a chorus of his shame. Ashley's exit, her fury, sealed her role as the antagonist, while Bill's alignment completed his arc, his regret tying him to me. I glanced at the chair where I'd left my scarf and ring, symbols of a life I'd shed. The string lights flickered, the coffee shop's murmur a steady pulse. Vivian joined us, her hand on my shoulder. "You did it, Ellie," she said, her voice warm. Sophia held the letter, her eyes bright. "What's next, Mom?" she asked. Lily grinned, her pride infectious. Bill stood close, his support a quiet promise. Nate slumped near the arch, alone, his hands empty, his world undone. The vineyard's twilight deepened, the rose petals soft under my feet. I'd faced Nate's cruelty, survived cancer, and reclaimed my worth. Hope Haven would carry my legacy, not him. My family, Sophia, Lily, Bill, Vivian, was my future, redefined by love, not greed. The video playback hummed, guests whispering, their eyes on me, not Nate. My liberation wasn't just triumph, it was peace. I turned to Sophia, my voice low. "I've got one last secret to share." The letter's words, "You were meant for more," echoed, a truth I'd soon reveal. My heart light, my victory complete. Cancer didn't end me. It gave me a chance to live again, truly. Morning sunlight streamed through the lace curtains of my Charleston home, casting delicate shadows across the hardwood. The coffee pot gurgled, its rich aroma blending with the faint chime of church bells from down the street. I stood in the living room, my scarf gone, my hair a soft stubble under my fingers. The weight of Nate's cruelty, his insults, his smashed brooch, Ashley's slap had faded, replaced by a quiet peace. I'd worked double shifts, built a fortune for my children, only to redefine my family at the vineyard. Now I was ready for something new. I called Sophia, Lily, and Bill to the living room, my voice calm. Sophia entered first, her brown hair loose, her eyes bright with devotion, her guilt over my missed 16th birthday now a bond. Lily bounced in, her ponytail swinging, her baking memories with me, biscuit days, sparking her joy. Bill followed, his gray hair neat, his tie straight, his remorse for his career-driven distance a steady presence. Vivian slipped in last, her silver hair glinting, her navy blazer crisp, her pride in my triumph tied to her own family healing. They sat on the couch, the coffee's gurgle filling the silence. I took a breath, my hands steady. "I'm in remission," I said. "I've been free for months." Sophia gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Lily squealed, launching into my arms, her laughter mixing with tears. Bill stood, his eyes wet, and wrapped us both in a hug, his voice rough. "Ellie, you're a miracle." Vivian grinned, her chair creaking. "Knew you were a fighter." Their love surrounded me, a warmth deeper than the sunlight, my liberation peaking. My heart swelled, joy and peace washing over me like a tide. The church bells chimed, soft and steady. I sat, Lily curled beside me, and said, "I'm moving to Spain, starting over as Clara." Sophia's eyes widened, but she nodded, her devotion unwavering. "I shed my old chains," I added, my voice soft, thinking of the scarf and ring left at the vineyard, symbols of a life I'd outgrown. Vivian leaned forward, her voice warm. "Hope Haven's thriving because of you, Ellie. Your fortune's changing lives." I smiled, my past sacrifices, double shifts, skipped dreams, now a legacy for others, not Nate. Bill sat close, his hand on mine. "I buried myself in work," he said, his voice low. "I missed you, Ellie." His remorse, tied to years of neglect, sealed his alignment with me. Sophia squeezed my other hand, her pride clear. "You're unstoppable, Mom." Lily giggled. "You'll bake in Spain, right, Grandma?" Her joy, rooted in our biscuit days, lit the room. Vivian's eyes shone, her own reconciliation with her son echoing my victory. Nate's absence, his greed, his torn photo, his brooch destruction lingered, but my triumph overshadowed it, satisfying my heart. I crossed to the sideboard, my steps light, and began packing a suitcase, its zipper humming. A letter slipped from a folder, its envelope marked Hope Haven. I opened it, the paper crinkling, and found a confirmation of my donation, naming Thompson Hall. A photo inside showed a brick building, its sign gleaming. My breath caught, my legacy tangible. "This is my legacy, not Nate's," I said, my voice steady. Sophia smiled. "We'll visit, Mom." Lily clapped. "I'll bring biscuits." Bill nodded, his support firm, his regret fading into love. Was my love enough, or was my strength? I'd given Nate everything, my career, my health, only for him to scorn me. But my remission, my fortune, my true family, Sophia, Lily, Bill, Vivian, were my renewal. The coffee's gurgle slowed, the church bells a distant melody. I folded the letter, its photo glowing in my hand, a testament to my impact. Nate's downfall, his debts, his abandonment by Ashley, were his own. I'd built something greater, for women like me, cast aside but rising. The sunlight shifted, casting warmth across the room. I zipped the suitcase, my fingers brushing the photo of Thompson Hall. Sophia stood, her arm around Lily, her eyes bright. "You're free, Mom," she said. Bill joined us, his hand steady on my shoulder. Vivian raised her coffee mug, her grin wide. "To Clara," she said. I laughed, my heart light, my liberation complete. The bells chimed on, a promise of new mornings. The lace curtains fluttered, the coffee's aroma lingering. I held the photo, Thompson Hall, a beacon of my legacy, glowing in my hand, ready to carry me forward. They thought I was gone, erased. I'm alive, blooming in a world of my own. The late summer light bathed my small home in a coastal Spanish village, its blue shutters open, letting the sea breeze carry the scent of my mint garden. Waves crashed nearby, a steady rhythm while seagulls called overhead. I sat on the patio sipping tea, my hair a soft stubble, no scarf needed. As Clara now, I'd left Eleanor Thompson's pain behind. Nate's insults, his smashed brooch, Ashley's slap. I'd worked double shifts, built a fortune for my children, only to redefine my family. Here, I found peace. I tended the mint, my fingers brushing the leaves, their rustle a quiet song. At the market, I bought lilies, their white petals bright against the cobblestones. Neighbors waved, calling, "Clara!" My hair, growing back, was a symbol of renewal, my heart light with liberation. I'd given Nate everything, my career, my health, only for him to scorn me. But my fortune, now Hope Havens, and my survival were my triumph. Sophia and Lily arrived, their laughter filling the courtyard. Sophia's brown hair glowed, her pride warm, her guilt over my missed 16th birthday a distant memory. Lily, her ponytail bouncing, ran to me, her baking memories, our biscuit days, alive in her smile. "Thompson Hall at Hope Havens thriving, Mom," Sophia said, her voice steady. "Nate's lawsuit failed. He's facing his choices." Lily hugged me. "You taught us strength, Grandma." Their love, their visit, completed our bond, my family redefined. I led them to the shore, the waves crashing, mint leaves in my hand. "I'm not resting in peace," I said, my voice calm. "I'm living in it." I scattered the leaves into the sea, a final act of letting go, my legacy secure. Did I raise a son or a stranger who forgot me? Nate's absence, his greed, contrasted Sophia and Lily's devotion. My journey from sacrifice to freedom was complete, my heart joyful, my peace profound. The seagulls soared, Lily's laughter echoing, the mint garden swaying. Sophia held my hand, her eyes bright. I stood, the lilies in my arms, the sea a mirror of my calm. Thompson Hall carried my name, my strength, for women like me. I was Clara, alive, my family whole without Nate's shadow. As I stood in Vivian's office, the jazz tune fading, the text from Ashley, "Her estate's ours," burned in my heart. But my remission, a secret shared only with Vivian, lit a fire of resolve. I'd poured my life into Nate and Sophia, sacrificing my nursing career, only to face his cruel dismissal. Yet I found strength in my hidden wealth and their greed's exposure. Family isn't just blood, it's the bonds we nurture through love and understanding, even when it hurts. In life, if we listen with compassion, we can mend what's broken and redefine what family means. My journey taught me that love's power lies in standing tall, no matter the pain. If this story touched you, please share your own thoughts on family in the comments. Your voice matters, and I'd love to hear it.